What is up, dudes? Lady dudes, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, we got another deck profile for you today. I got a deck I've been testing a little bit and just been a little bit obsessed with over the last, two and a half weeks, and that's Weather Painter. So, it's a really interesting archetype, and I actually think it's kind of a decent deck. Like, I think it's like probably tier 3 personally, so I think I can compete with tier 2 stuff definitely, and it can even give tier 1 stuff a run for their money in the right way. It depends on the matchup. You have better and worse matchups, but yeah, the deck's really cool, and I think I'm at a good point in the list that I've kind of solidified, and for now I think this is probably the best way I would run the deck. So let's hop into the list here. We'll start with the monsters. We'll start with 3 Weather Painter Snow. She is your best monster. She's your best normal summon. On normal summon, she will place, keyword place, any weather canvas from your deck straight into one of your spell and trap zones. And then she has the same effect that every Weather Painter has, where if it's banished to activate a weather card effect or banished by a weather card, it will special itself back on the next standby phase, which is really, really nice because a lot of those are quick effects and they can just tag out nice and easy. So she's the best normal summon. She also has a 2200 booty, so a really, really big defense there. The second best one is Weather Painter Thunder. So his effect says once per turn, not on summon, you can send any continuous spell or trap you control to the graveyard to place another canvas from your deck straight into the zone. So he's a 1-for-1. He's not a +1 like Snow, but it's a it's once per turn, so you can literally just grab whichever one you need once per turn, given you have a continuous spell or trap already face up on the field. There, so I play 2 Cloud. At first, I was playing 2 Sun and 2 Cloud, or in 1 Cloud, but I kind of learned that like Cloud is a little bit better than Sun to open, because like turn 1, if you open Sun, like you're never gonna get him in graveyard like turn 1. I mean, very rarely, but that's like because you're doing like a very suboptimal play. But at least if you do draw him with canvases, you can just summon him with canvases, and he's going to keep those canvases from being able to be cleared by Twin Twisters, Heavy Storm Duster, Nightmare Phoenix, all that stuff. So I keep 2 Cloud. And if I really wanted to bump the monster count up, I might go 3 Cloud. I don't know. He's just not the best. He doesn't do anything engine-wise. He just says if a weather card that can be monster, spell, or trap is sent to the graveyard at any point, he can target up to 2 canvases in the graveyard and place them back into your spell and trap zone. So if somebody Twin Twisters you while you have this up on the field and they destroyed 2 canvases, you literally just put those 2 canvases back in your spell and trap zones, and your opponent went -2. So there, 1 Sun. So his effect is if he's in grave, he can send 1 continuous spell or trap you control to the graveyard to special himself back to the field. You know, nothing crazy, but he's a nice little extender. I just play 1 of them because you get him if you want to make that link play up with him. So there, and then I do play the 1 Aurora. So Aurora was kind of unplayable before, but with the new trap, she's like way more playable now. And I also have other cards in my deck that make her easier to get out as well if you do open her in your hand. On normal summons, if she's, I guess, tribute summoned, you can do the same thing as Snow, just place any canvas straight from your deck into the zone. And then she also says whether spells and traps you control cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. So the trap like is a quick effect that tags you into her, so your opponent can literally activate Twin Twisters and use the trap to tag into her, and then your canvases can't even be touched. So they just like their twister just fizzles. I believe that's the ruling. I mean, I've done it with my friends, I've talked about it, and that's what we think would happen. I don't know officially, but that's what I believe would happen. So don't take my word on that. There, I play 2 Eater of Millions. So this is like a weird card. It's kind of to help you going second a little bit. The deck is not the best going second. I will admit that 100%. Definitely a going first deck. It's just very slow. It takes you like 2 to 3-ish turns to really get going. So, but if you do hit that point, you're probably like hitting the ground running and you're off. And this is to help like kind of help that going second, to just help you deal with something problematic. It baits a negate if you're playing against Salamangreats. This baits the roar every single time because they're going to be really scared of this just for the sole fact that like it outs their entire board. They have no protection against it, and you can just slowly and steadily every turn just whittle down their monster resources. So Eater of Millions has been really good in testing. Like seriously, like really, really good. Eater of Millions has been. I played 2 Hecatrice. So this card, you can discard it from your hand to the graveyard to add a Valhalla, Hall of the Fallen, from your deck to your hand. I wish he was a little bit bigger. He's 1500 attack, and he's level 4. Well, yeah, I wish he was one of 2 things. I wish he was either level 3 or that he had higher attack. Like, there's the one, like, I think Warrior of Atlantis. He's the one that searches the one Umi field spell, not Umi specifically, but the other one. But he's like 1900 attack. If this thing was 1900 attack, I'd actually be pretty lit because it actually beats over a lot of the metagame, gets over Galatea, gets over Sunlight Wolf, and actually creates some problems for some of these decks. Trickstars can struggle with that if they don't have access to Corbane. Like, but he's not, so he's like not really a problem for anything. But so like the only trouble sometimes when you draw like multiple of him or multiple of Hall. The most I've drawn so far is 3, but it's only happened 1 time, and I've seen 2, and 2's fine. For the hand traps, I don't play a ton because this is a deck where you need to open up like your 2 and 3 card combos. So I can't play. You can't play too many hand traps because you're just gonna like open too many hand traps in your opening hands and not open like a way to get like your engine going, which is unfortunate. Like Snow is the only 1 card combo. Every other monster in your deck needs like a 2nd card to really make it like a solid play. And so I play enough hand traps where if I'm going 2nd, hopefully I see one of these so my opponent doesn't get to play completely for free. But not too many that it's going to cause me to brick too much. So those are the only 5 I play. I would maybe play Impermanence over Veiler, but I also don't want too many spells and traps that it would clog my zones, because I can fill up my zones very fast, and you know that can be bad if you clog up all the zones. Then we'll move into the spells. So the first spell here is the Weather Snowy Canvas. So this one's probably the best one because it's the most flexible, and it just says that you can, as a quick, all right, before I should go into this, I should explain real quick. So if this is in your middle zone, face up, it doesn't have an effect, it gives an effect to the painters that are in the same zone and the 2 adjacent zones. So the one in the same zone and then to the left and the right of that zone, they will get the effect given by this. And that's how like all the canvases work. They have to be in those zones to gain the effect. But this one's the most flexible because it can activate almost whenever. It just says as a quick effect, you can banish, you know, the weather painter in its zone to search any weather card, but you cannot search for the rest of the turn, right? I believe that's what it is. You cannot add cards except for drawing. So you can draw. After that, you just can't search again. So that's fine. You're usually only going to do 1 search. You can only control 1. It's really, really good. It's most flexible, and it's really good in a lot of combos. For the draw power, I play 3 Pot of Extravagance. This is one of the reasons why the deck is like more playable now, so you're not forced to play like an awkward variant with like, from what I saw, people were trying to play like Card of Demise and Pot of Duality in this deck, and like Pot of Desires as well. So it was just like awkward draw spells that don't work because your weather painters all special summon themselves back. Oh, excuse me. Every standby phase, which includes your next standby phase. So if you do that, you can't activate Demise, you can't activate Duality that turn because they say you cannot special summon the turn you activate them, so you just can't activate them anymore. And it means you can't play like monster hand traps, which like hand traps are good, like they just are. So like I felt like Extravagance was going to be that middle ground where it's like not quite as strong as being able to play like, you know, the 8 draw spells you were playing before for turn 1, but it helps mitigate the fact that you can have a powerful draw spell without having to sacrifice like what your strategy does, which is just bring back all your weather painters every turn and just stockpile advantage, because I think that's where those other ones kind of become lackluster. There. So next up, I play 3 of Valhalla, Hall of the Fallen. So this is kind of arguable. I saw some lists that just play like way less than this because they don't want to brick on it. And honestly, you really don't. Like you don't brick on this like hardly ever. At least when I found. I did a ton of test hands yesterday. I've done, I don't know, like 10 like practice duels with Chris with this deck, and it was pretty good. I mean, I practiced against Trickstars and Salamangreats. Salamangreats are a tough matchup, 100%. It's tough. I also lost like both die rolls we did, so like that is what it is. But this card's really nice. So what it says is that if you control no monsters, then once per turn you can just special summon a fairy right out of your hand. And what this does is it allows you to extend so far with just like 2 cards. It's just like a +2. Like if you open this plus Thunder, it's just like a hard +2, and it's really good. Or this with Snow as well. And I can show you a quick little combo at the end, maybe, if I have time. But yeah, it's really good. It just extends a lot of your combos. And you play 10 Weather Painters, so you see 2 in hand a lot, and this just helps you put both on board that turn 1. And if you can get to Thunder, then you can send this to Grieve, because you don't usually need it after that first turn, and get another canvas that actually will give you more value. So really good starter card. I worried about bricking on it. I was playing 2 and 2, but literally like every hand I saw it in, I literally was like, oh wow, this like makes my hand like way better. So I decided to bump it up to 2 Hecatrice and 3 of it. I might consider putting Hecatrice to 3, but I've also seen hands with double a good amount of the time, so maybe I'll stay away from that. A one-off floodgate I play is Dimensional Fissure. I like this because, one, it's a very powerful floodgate right now against the meta. I mean, you look at Salamangreats, Orcus, Strikers, all get hurt by this. Like, Strikers don't get to keep their Ray. That's not as impactful. Macro's a little stronger against Striker, but still not a bad utility there. Orcus and Salamangreats really struggle under this card. They can't do anything with the graveyard, so this is really nice against them. And also, it's a continuous spell, so like turn 1, if you open this with Thunder, you can just normal Thunder, open this, like send this off of Thunder to get the canvas you need to actually like get your engine going. And so it can be a nice like utility piece in that sense to help you get your combo going if you open it with Thunder in a weird hand. Then we'll move to the traps. So this is like kind of arguable here. I do play 3 Thundery Canvas right now. I have thought about this. This is something I am wavering on. I might bump this down to 2. The problem with this card, and what makes me want to play this at 3, is it's like your win condition. So if this deck duels against any monster that's like bigger than 2,000, you really can struggle to get it off the field without this card. That's why we play Eater of Millions, and we also play one more card in here to help deal with that as well. But other than that, if you don't hard draw those are unsearchable cards. This is the only way you can out those big monsters. So what this card says is that you can, if one of your Weather Painter battles an opponent's monster, you can banish that Weather Painter to bounce that monster to hand. It's non-targeting, it's non-destruction, so it outs essentially any monster you should ever be having problems with. And it's not once per turn. So if you can summon 3 Weather Painters in the 3 zones above it, you can just attack 3 times and bounce 3 monsters. That's why this card is the reason why this deck has a good Thunder Dragon matchup. As long as you can like simplify the game state to just where they just have like beat sticks and you just have like 2 or 3 Weather Painters, you can just like bing 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 every turn, and they almost exclusively go into extra deck monsters. So you just like keep bouncing their extra deck monsters, and like they can't do anything from there. So really, really powerful card. It's just your win condition. Why I played it 3. Like, I want to open it in my hands because sometimes if I can't extend into it, I'd rather just open it, because it can be this card can single-handedly decide whether or not I am going to have a chance in a duel against certain decks. There. I play 2 Weathery Rainbowed Canvas. This is the new card out of Dark Neostorm. It's really, really nice. It says if your opponent controls a monster, you can, at any point, it's a quick effect, you can just banish one of your Weather Painters to special summon another one straight from the deck. So this is the card that allows you to like tag out right into Aurora, and Aurora will protect all your canvases. So if your opponent like tries to side in Twin Twisters going second, they're probably a fool, because if you open up like kind of decent, you'll end with this, and you can just tag out for Aurora, and their Twin Twisters whiffs, and they go -2 in the hand. So yeah, this is really, really nice. The reason it's not quite as good as the spell is that the spell is used like every turn 1. This one can't be used turn 1 because your opponent won't control a monster. So it's just a little less versatile, but after turn 1, it's like insanely good. Seriously. So once you get both of those on board, you can just like dodge with your Weather Painters like every turn. You can dodge with 2 of them, and you'll get them both back, which is so, so strong. Then for like the non-Weather Painter cards, I do play 3 Crackdown as a trap. This is like so this is like with Eater of Millions, like the other card I wanted to play to like help me deal with problematic monsters if I can't get to Thundery Canvas. So I just thought it was a necessity at this point. Like, it's so strong, and you don't need your extra deck, so I can allocate a couple of spots to actually make extra use of this as well. So you'll see when I get there that I actually think might be spots that you should probably be playing in any deck that plays like 3 Crackdown if you don't use your extra deck. But it's really, really strong, new card. Also, it's a continuous trap, and when it leaves the field, it's not like your opponent gets control of their monster back, so you can like use Thundery Canvas or Sun in grave, or not Thunder Canvas, Thunder or Sun with his grave effect, and just like send this to grave and then special them back. You still keep the monster you stole and everything, you just like get extra value off of it in certain situations, which is really cool. For the powerful one-offs that I play 1 Skill Drain, 1 Macrocosmos, and 1 Solemn Judgment. I just feel like right now Skill Drain and Macrocosmos are just like too insanely powerful against the meta that if you're not playing them, if you have a deck that is minimally affected by them, you might as well play them because they can almost single-handedly defeat like Strikers, Salamangreats, Orcus, like almost all of them. So I would definitely play them in this deck. I think it would behoove you to not. They're too powerful. And then 1 Solemn Judgment. This is just an extra slot I had, and I was just like, I'm just going to pick something generic that's not too hyper-focused on anything. It just works against everything. So 1 Solemn Judgment. So that's it for the main deck. I almost always play 40 card main decks, so 40 is there. And we'll move into the extra deck. There's nothing crazy here. So we'll start with a bunch of Super Poly targets, Violet Chimera for Salamangreats, Staryu Venom Fusion Dragon, and Dragostapelia for Thunder Dragons, and Orcus. Well, not Orcus for Dragostapelia, but Orcus for Staryu Venom. And we're playing 2 of these because of Desire, or Extravagance, so I don't want to banish all my targets. 1 Mudragon in the swap, just 1, because like I don't think it'll come up that often, but there are a couple weird rogue matchups where this can be like weird that like your Super Poly that you would side in like actually works against. And then also the 1 new guy that takes any 3 Link monsters, which is pretty busted against certain decks. So these are really good. You side in Super Poly. Like any deck that doesn't use the extra deck, you should probably be just having 2 Super Poly in the side and a couple of slots for Super Poly targets. Then for the Link monsters, I play 2 Rainbow Canvas. So the reason I don't actually like use this card very often is because if you're going into this card, the duel's probably over. Like regardless if you went into it or not, it's usually just like you can go into it, but like you probably just win anyway. It can maybe help solidify a duel in a specific situation, but usually you're just going to win the duel anyway, so whatever. But she's really good. She points downward 3 ways, and any Weather Painter can be banished as cost to essentially Solemn Judgment, like negate anything, which is insanely powerful. Negate and destroy, so she can just be like a possible like walking 3 Solemn Judgments. 1 Nightmare Unicorn, so this is like a utility piece for the next card, mostly. Which is 1 Hita, the Fire Charmer Ablaze. And the reason I play Hita is 1, we have Sun, which is pretty searchable, so you can just make this against Salamangreats and revive something. But 2, the main thing is for Crackdown. So you could literally steal any monster, whatever monster is going to hinder them the most, it'll be fire because it's Salamangreats. You link it off with any of your Weather Painters into this, and then you revive something from their grave and just play Beatdown. And the reason I like this is just it's extra value. Like when you crack down something, you can't attack with it or activate its effects. But if you can link into this, you're going to make up for that, like, immediately by getting 2 monsters on board. So using, like, Crackdown and 1 of your monsters to get this, and another one, and go -1 on your opponent, and you can just do a lot of damage with that. I just want a card that gave me extra value, because I would keep using Crackdown, and I would just be, like, stuck with that monster. So I want to play this, especially just for Salamangreats, just so I have extra value there. 1 Sky Striker Ace Shizuku. This is for Sky Strikers. She has the most utility for a non-Sky Striker deck, just because she's just going to lower your opponent's stuff for every spell you have in your grave, which won't be a ton, but your Weather Painters are small anyway, so just that little like minus for your opponent could be the difference, right? So you just steal one of their a Hayate or their 1 Kagari, and then you link it into this, and you just have like a monster that's lowering all their monsters at all times, which is nice. And then this card is a card I don't actually have. Is I would play Dingirsu for when you play Orcus. You can just crack down, steal a Galatea or a Long Girsu, and then just Xyz on top of it. On summon, he'll send something to grave. Then he's a big beat stick that also protects your cards. So I would definitely try and play 1 Dingirsu. It's like $35 as an ultra rare, which is insane. But for right now, I don't have him. But if you were trying to play this deck legitimately, or you already had him by luck, or picked him up at some point, I would definitely play him, because those are 3 out of the 4 like tier 1 decks right now, and these give you way more extra value for your Crackdown, which is awesome. And the last 2 I play are 2 Xyzs to remove any card. I guess you can play Breaksword. You end up with just like extra canvases all the time, so you can literally just pop a canvas, activate another copy of it, and pop an opponent's card. And he's a 2000 beater, and then also 1 Grand Pulse. I didn't play Unicorn and Cerberus just because one, okay, so one, the discard is rough sometimes. Sometimes you need every card in your hand to be able to like make it work in this deck. And 2, what was the other reason? I can't even remember. Oh, I had another reason. I guess Crackdown is better with Phoenix and Cerberus because you just steal and make generic, like make them generically to pop something. But in as far as my cards go, these were better, and maybe I would think about putting Cerberus and Phoenix in here. But I think for now, I think these are solid. I haven't really, you really don't use much of your extra deck unless it's like the specific situation with Crackdown. It's the end of a duel where you're going into this, or you're using Super Poly. So in the side deck. So that's pretty much it for the whole list there, guys. I'm hitting about the 20-minute mark, so I think it's pretty good timing here to end it off. Let me know what you think about the list. Let me know if you have any suggestions, because I'm always open to, you know, different suggestions and possibly changing up the list to, you know, to make it better. If you have any insight for me, let me know. But I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I got a ton of more deck profiles coming, so get excited for that. Peace, guys. Thanks for watching.